guys, this is part 2 of the video for charts and graphs and if statements. Okay. Last thing I forgot to do in the previous video was actually give a name to my chart. So I'm going to go back to my Excel document, and you can see here the title here. If I click on that, okay, once it has a, if I click on that, and I get that border there like that, I can actually now change the title of my chart. And I'm going to give it an appropriate name like Disco chart, Disco graph, Disco costs graph. Okay, hit enter. Nope, just click out of that, and I'm going to save that, and I've got my chart. Okay, sorry, I'm just going to do something here on my phone so I can time it to make sure I don't run out of time for you guys. All right, so next thing I want to do is I'm going to insert 2 more columns in here to give more space to my Excel sheet. Okay, so the way I do that is very similar to when we inserted rows. So I'm going to insert 2 columns beside F. So what I do is I put my cursor at the top. Okay, I just click on it once, and when I see it highlighted like that, that tells me I've got it chosen. So now I'm going to double click on my mouse pad, just click on insert, and do that one more time so that I have 2 columns. Okay. The other way, of course, I can do that is while the column is selected, go up here to insert, and I can choose insert sheet columns. Okay, so great. I've got 2 extra columns. Now, this is what I'm going to do. I am going to create an if statement. And let me explain what I'm going to do, what an if statement is. Okay, we've learned all about formulas. Okay, we can use formulas as mathematical formulas, as we can see here, and as we can see down here, the sum. Okay, we can also create formulas that will output text data, that will output a phrase or a saying or a number or whatever. We can do that with if statements. All right, I'm going to create an if statement that will say, if the cost, if my total cost is some sort of value, say if my total cost is less than 200, then I will put a phrase in this cell that will say something like, this is affordable, or we can afford it, or something like that. Okay, let me just put in that if statement, and I will explain what that does. Okay, so my if statement is going to be where? Let me just double check, in F4. Okay, so in F4, I'm going to write the following if statement. Okay, here I am, F4. Now, don't forget, all of my formulas have to begin with an equal sign. My if statement is no different, and I'm going to write if parenthesis, my logical test. My logical test simply means what is the cell that I'm going to compare? And the cell that I'm going to compare in my if statement is going to be E4. So I'll just type that in, if E4. And as you can see, Excel highlights the cell that I'm going to compare. And you can see here, the if statement prompts me what I want to do. Okay, what this says is, what I'm going to do is create an if statement that will say, okay, whatever is in E4, if that is true, then I will output some sort of data. If it is not true, I will output some other form of data. Let me continue with my if statement to tell you how that's going to work. Okay, so if E4 is less than 200, okay, if it's less than 200, I'm going to say that that is affordable, okay? And if not, I'm going to say that it is expensive, okay? Okay. And end of parenthesis. Let me explain some of these punctuations that you have to have. Okay, first of all, when I'm writing if statements in a Mac, I need to use semicolons. All right. If you were in a PC, you would actually use a comma, but in Macs we use semicolons. Anything that is going to be in text has to be in quotation marks. Okay, so let me once again explain what this if statement says. This if statement says that if whatever is in E4, if it is below 200, I'm going to output the following text, affordable. However, if it is not below 200, I'm going to put the term expensive. Okay, so what do you think will be in F4? Okay, the cost here in E4 is 150. So if you said that in F4, affordable should be in there, you are correct. Okay, so I'm going to press enter. Okay, once again, if my cursor's here at the end of my expression, if I click and enter, there we go, affordable. All right, now I can just drag and drop and autofill all of these values. So let's go through it. What do you think will be here in F5? F5 is below 200, so you shall have affordable in this. Now, E6 is above 200. In fact, it's way above 200. It is 1,000. So it will say expensive. So let's have a look if that works. So I drag and drop that down, and there we go. So you can see everything here, 90, 45. Anything that is below 200 is affordable. Anything that is above 200 is going to be expensive. All right. Now, let us continue with an if statement, a challenge if statement, okay? I can put in multiple if statements, what are known as nested if statements, okay? So, let me explain how that's going to work, okay? Now, let's say you put in a negative number in the cost per night by mistake. Well, it would give me affordable. But if we put in a negative number, that's going to be a mistake, correct? Because no cost of any hotel is a negative number. So I'm going to change my if statement, okay? I'm going to change it to the following things. I'm going to say, okay, if we put a negative number in the cost per night column, I'm going to output this text. It says, you made a mistake. I'm going to keep it affordable if it's below 200. So in the if statement I'm going to write, if it is under 200, I'm going to put in this message, I can afford it. And once again, if it's over 200, I'm going to put a message saying, I can't afford it. So let me just amend that if statement. Let me get rid of all these things here. Okay. Let me put in my new if statement. Okay. Here we go. So let me just erase all of this. Okay, so if let me just put in the whole thing. If E4 is less than 0, okay, you made a mistake. Okay. Oh, sorry. Let me actually change that a little bit. So if E4 is less than 200, I can afford it. Okay. If E4 is less than 0, okay, you made a mistake. Okay, and otherwise, I can afford All right, so let's go through this if statement, okay? It basically says, okay, if E4, whatever is in E4 is below 200, the message I can afford it is going to be outputted, okay? If, however, E4 is less than 0, okay? If it's less than 0, if it's a negative number, you made a mistake because we can't have a total cost that is going to be a negative number. If, by default, it is not these two things, okay? I can afford it, okay? Oh, sorry. Nope, what I want to say is not I can afford it, but I can't afford it. Sorry, typo on my part. I can't afford it. Okay, so let me just review. Like I said, if E4 is less than 200, I can afford it. Now I need a second nested if statement. See how it is nested here within this first E statement. And you can see because I've got two parentheses at the end, okay? So the second part, the nested part of my if statement says if it is less than 0, okay, you made a mistake. Otherwise, it's going to output I can't afford it. All right, so we will just enter that, okay, and you can see it says I can't. Oh, sorry, I can afford it because it's less than 200. And I will scroll down. Okay, so if I'm right, I should get in E6. I should get the message saying I can't afford it. And that is right. Okay, so that's if statements, that's charts, and that is it, guys. I will see you in class.